Oh boy. Greetings everybody, Psydark here, and today we are going to be going over some notable issues with the current state of Ready or Not. I may receive some negative feedback, but either way, a fact is a fact, and that is, Ready or Not does have some issues. Now before I begin though, there are two things I want to put out there. First of which is, I love this game. I think its ability to mix both atmosphere with stunning graphics and audio complete an extremely immersive experience along with the dev's clear attention to detail for a sim type shooter. With that said though, there are many things I'm bringing up because it is a sim type shooter, and more importantly, one that I want to rise above any other that have come forward. Secondly, I currently work within a group of individuals that utilize small unit tactics ranging within the CQB scope, or close quarter battle for those that you aren't familiar. And prior to that was a firearms instructor and gunsmith. I say this as a credibility piece so you can have peace of mind that I'm not just some sweaty dude that really digs airsoft. Not that there's anything wrong with airsoft. I understand this game is in early access and that's all good, but there are some serious issues and things that must be said that no one seems to be saying since we're all too busy drooling at the mouth with how long it's been since we've had a different FPS experience. This video is aimed at constructive criticism. I am not here to bash this game. This is primarily for notable issues or realistic details to be addressed and hopefully implemented for future play. And some of the issues I might mention are already being thought of and probably going to be worked on. I just am simply putting them out there in the event that they're not. Real quick though, I would like to shout out to Big Fry's channel since he's the one that gathered the information regarding the devs on that they had to release the game prematurely due to Steam forcing them to go to market or risk suspension of keys being distributed for earlier testing. It's important to note because it seems evident that this game was released a little bit ahead of time that they really actually wanted to. Now granted, this is just what the devs said. We don't know if that's 100% fact, but it is something to take note. Alright, let's start the list with some small improvements regarding weapons. First up, bullet impacts on surfaces. These impacts in the game are pretty big. I mean, they're absolutely gigantic compared to any realistic setting. I think the game has so many good looking visuals tied to realism that it makes this stand out even more. I encourage any of you to watch videos of different calibers and see the impact size. For a good baseline, focus on 9mm, 45 ACP, 357 Magnum, 5.56, 7.62, and lastly 12 gauge buckshot. Any of these will give a good idea of what this should look like. And real quick, since we're on the topic of ammunition and surfaces, 9mm, 45 ACP, or really any caliber presented in the game should penetrate through the doors. Oh, what the fuck? You can shoot through the door. Oh. What? Next up, we have the weapon modification table. So a lot of the images within the weapon modification sometimes just don't populate or render, so you're left with these weird white squares. And most of the weapon camos that you try to apply on the weapon don't actually make any difference. Yeah, another thing is skins. So I have camo on this. The skins don't actually exist. There's no skin. And lastly, it would be cool to see if it was implemented to where you can modify both weapons in one menu. In real life, you can place both guns on the table and yourself or whoever to work on them, right? Not really much more to say, let's go on. The next one is really just a realism piece, but it would be nice to have where your weapon flashlight could be activated by simply aiming down the sights and off again when not aiming. The other option would be to make it to hold rather than toggle. So we could enter a room, highlight an interest, engage, and then back off. Many units around the world utilize this method of not keeping a flashlight on the whole duration. This is for a few reasons. Reason one is if engaged in a low light, the enemy will likely fire at the previously known location of light. So once you toggle off and shift, you have that nice chance of not being shot. Secondly, entering a room with the light on the entire time lays out your positioning from the start, setting you up to be fired upon. It's important to note that after everything I just mentioned, that this can all be utilized with NVGs. A lot of people think that just because a light is turned on when you have your NVGs, that it automatically just blinds the living hell out of you, but that's not the case. Can it be damaging in prolonged use? Yes, but it can be used and actuated in small durations. For the people I work with, we all have pressure pads that we have gripping the front of the weapon. This allows us to easily enter, engage with the light, and then back off again. Really, this whole segment is just really about immersion implementation, but not a game-breaking problem by any means. Next is an issue that is a serious one, not being able to shoot when rounding a tight corner. The game implements a feature where if you're close to an object, you cant the weapon up. This is accurate, but also inaccurate when rounding a corner when you know there could be a potential threat in a tight space. You can engage a target by breaking shoulder contact with the buttstock and placing it just above your shoulder so that way your muzzle is still facing towards your intended direction of engagement. Now this is especially important for the first man in. That one man going in is going to be the one that is not going to have any plates in front of him to protect him. So his muzzle has to be ready to engage the second he enters the room. Let's look at a team of Green Berets for an example. In this last example, this guy has to clear an entire place by himself, so there's a lot for him to check, but you can kind of see that utilization of that buttstock involvement. I bring this up because it essentially is very game breaking in a lot of instances where there are situations where you go through a doorway and you cannot win the situation due to you not being able to fire your weapon at the person. You're calling it before you even come. Oh, he seems to be the one that gives people the most issues. So as I come around the corner, and let's say I wanted to back up and clear this back side here, even if he was hugging, he still has quite a bit of space within that right side there. And even if I back up all the way to this door frame here, I am now completely immobile until I get to here. So my shoulder, half my body's exposed now, and I still can't shoot. Still can't shoot. I could technically still have my muzzle up if I was to adjust the buttstock above my shoulder, but here I cannot. This is a death trap right here. Next section I'll go over is regarding AI and character model. I understand that panic is a very real thing when entering a building with a lot of stress from all kinds of factors, but the amount of times that NPCs run from you is obnoxious and unrealistic. Alright, I guess we'll go start from back and then work our way forward. Oh, I got an open door, right?
On you.
Hey!
Hands up now! Police, hands in the air, hands up now!
How do you give command?
I've had moments when a woman is running, yelling, "Help me," and closing doors in my face.
Hands in the air!
Jesus Christ. And speaking of running, simply adding a few different running cadences or fluidity would be a great addition to the realism.
Hands up! Hands up now! Hands where I can see them!
What the fuck? They're running in sync. And they're exactly the same. Not only that, you have no way of apprehending the person because you have no ability to run. On the topic of characters, it has to be mentioned about the lack of models presented in the game. It doesn't take too long before you already know who is bad and who is good just by looking at them. In real life, it is frequently trained to observe hands for your indicator of a shoot or no shoot, because that's where your threat's going to be. This game primes you with often how they look being a heavy factor on whether or not I believe they will eventually shoot. The gun being the ultimate factor, but me leaning closer because I have seen the same character model 100 times pull a gun on me, and when they do, they instantly headshot you in the blink of an eye. This begins to create a playthroughs with quick action on the trigger. Spread the hostile intent around a bit and place weapons with characters we don't suspect as much. It happens, but it's pretty rare. In these kinds of situations, anyone could be a threat. That plays in the immersion piece, getting you closer to a real-life encounter. You treat everyone as a potential threat by screaming commands and flexi-cuffing them to ensure safety. Alright, now the big kahuna of issues, right? Clipping, shooting when not fully looking at you, and shooting through walls randomly. Pair that with flashbangs sometimes just completely doing nothing. These all combined is by far the most game-breaking issue. I'm not kidding when I say I die 75% of the time due to the game working against me in an unpolished manner. I'll just show footage and leave it at that.
Put the gun down!
Oh, contact.
Yeah, there's also somebody straight ahead in that doorway. I don't know where the fuck you...
Hands up!
Oh, I'm getting shot from the sides! Oh, shooting through walls!
Yeah.
What the fuck? What the fuck? Yep. I was gonna say, I thought I heard footsteps.
Oh, what the fuck?
No!
Did the flash not work? Dude. That dude ate a flash.
Yeah, he did. Again, left or right? Directly in front? What? What?
Talk to high ground.
Did you see him jump?
Yeah.
Alright.
Dead. I'm dead.
I'll plug this bathroom if you want to take care of her.
Got a civilian down here. Need medics now.
Talk to entry team. Proceed with mission.
On you.
All right.
Drop your weapon now.
Oh, what?
Where the fuck
I'm
is
saying.
this? Probably
Maybe it was like, oh. Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa! Did he? There are several more instances of this happening. Unfortunately, I wasn't recording or streaming at the time, but I think you guys get the point. Okay, and the last thing I'm going to put on this list is inconsistencies with what you see versus what your teammates see. It's no surprise that sometimes you'll be shooting at a body on the ground and it doesn't reflect accurately as your buddy would see it, but that's not really my concern here. My concern really lies in teammates not seeing traps when I do, or vice versa. No, it's there.
the thing? I don't see
Yeah,
it.
there's a wire. You don't see the wire?
Uh-uh.
Go ahead and walk through that door.
Oh, dude. Fine.
You tell me if it's there.
It didn't do it. Like, I didn't. This game's bugged.
And speaking of traps, there are times when you just straight up can't defuse them. Okay, and that wraps up my list. Again, I'm not trying to bash the game for the sake of bashing it, and I hope you guys don't think that was my intent with making this video. This game is freaking awesome, and I genuinely just wanted to make some notes for public so we could get feedback or notice to things that can make it potentially better for the future play. And I also get that it's early access. We all paid $40 or more. Games these days all release early access. The difference is, this game is actually good. And I'd say like or subscribe, but you guys probably hate me right now, so for now, peace out all you beautiful humans.